꿈과 도전의 리그 2011 GSL 어게인스트 코드 A. 그들의 힘찬 날개짓이 시작된다. GSL 줄라이 코드 A 우승 제넥스 퍼즐 김상준. 그는 코드 S 지킹의 기쁨을 만끽했고 이제 그의 뒤를 이어 또 다른 우승자를 기다린다. 보다 새롭고 보다 신선한 코드 A 리거들. 가장 강세를 보이는 종족은 역시 테란 15명. 그 뒤를 이어 프로토스 9명, 저그 8명. 그중 눈에 띄는 승부사들. 코드S에서 간등된 이정훈, 송준현, 이정환, 김승철, 김원기. 이들은 이 험난한 전장에서 자존심을 지켜낼 수 있을 것인가? 더 높은 곳을 향해 날아오를 준비를 마친 32명의 코드-A 리거들. 그들이 만들어갈 또 하나의 역사가 전장을 밝힌다.
Was an epic intro.
It sure was, man. I mean, what were you going to call these days today?
Well, I'm going to call them the death days, the dangerous days,
That's right.
the danger days. That's what I was going to call them. Not the death days.
Yeah.
The death. No one's
It was
dying.
danger days. I was like, what are you going to call it, Wolf? Because I didn't want to steal it from you. And then you're like, death days.
Well, yeah.
That's not what you said to me before the cast. Well, hey, guys.
Remember, guys, anyone who loses today is out. They have to go back through the grueling Code B tournament, the Code A qualifiers.
Only one word for Code B qualifiers or Code A qualifiers, and that is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually... Like it's hard to describe unless you're there. I mean, hopefully we brought like a little bit of that feeling through the Code A qualifiers broadcast that we did. But there's just this tenseness. You know, we talked about that on the cast a lot, where everybody is kind of still joking around with each other like normal, but it's kind of like nervous joking. I don't know, but it's really cool. And these guys have made it through. They're going to play against a lot of the people that got knocked down from Code S, including our first match.
Yep. We are going to see FruitDealer first up here. FruitDealer, a player who has fallen very slowly, and this could be it for him. If he loses today here to Maru, actually just turned 14 like 2 weeks ago guy, a very young player.
He's a little kid, man.
If he loses to him, it'll be a pretty big upset in some people's minds, of course.
Yeah, well, here's our schedule for the month. Let's check out that out. Obviously, we've got 2 rounds of Code A today. A best 4 best of 3s right now, and then 4 best of 3s a little bit later today. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we've got Code A in the early afternoon, and then Code S in the evening. Thursday, Friday, we've got Code A in the early afternoon, then GSTL in the evening, so that'll be pretty awesome. And as you can see, the rest of the month is as follows. Nice color-coded chart for everybody. Makes it easy for even me to read. But yeah, let's take a look at the Code A brackets right now. There's our first match of the day. It is StarTale FruitDealer versus Maru Prime.we. That's going to be a very interesting match. And then we've also got NSHoso Bonbon versus Slayer's Ganji. Why don't you tell us about the other parts of those brackets, Wolf?
All right, well, we've got, of course, Sase versus Sniper, Check versus Naniwa. Of course, we've got some of our foreigners littered in there. Now down at the bottom, we've got SC versus Extreme Tails and Teja. Then at the bottom right, we've got Inca, Dongre Gu. That should be pretty intense.
Yeah.
And AnyPro versus JYP, PvP down there.
Yeah, I mean, we could see a lot of sort of Code S standard players get knocked out of the GSL. I mean, FruitDealer, Inca. I mean, these are both guys that have gotten really far in the GSL. Inca got to the finals one season. FruitDealer won the Season 1 finals.
Yeah.
So to see them get knocked out of the GSL would be pretty crazy. But I don't know. The only thing I've got on my mind right now is Maru versus FruitDealer. I mean, this is going to be such a good match. We saw Maru play in the qualifiers, and he played awesome. I'm worried about FruitDealer, man.
I'm worried about FruitDealer as well.
Yeah.
FruitDealer has shown us for some pretty bad games recently.
Yeah.
He played against Marine King in the up and downs, and that was just embarrassing. Marine King was just making a joke out of it. And, you know, FruitDealer's ZBT is just really struggling right now, and Maru, his TVZ is pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, FruitDealer, we could kind of characterize him as a player that, here's how I think of it anyway, where he really hasn't kept up with everybody else, you know? He was good in the first season because he kind of played a little bit differently than other Zerg players, and people quite didn't know how to handle that, you know? Yeah. But he hasn't really changed since then, and now his play is just, like, really risky and not very stable.
Yeah, it seems a little flimsy, to put it in a way that's... He seems fragile all the time, and Marine King just exploited that. We saw Maru is actually a macro Terran. This guy he just turned 14 about 2 weeks. I think his birthday was like on the 28th of July. So he's very, very young, but he's very talented and skilled. And I'm really looking forward to watching his matches here today.
And here is, I believe, our games for today. That's right. So first off, like we said, we've got StarTale FruitDealer versus Maru Prime.we. Then Hozo Bonbon versus Slayer's Ganji. And then our third match is going to be I'm Yoda versus FXO the Best. That should be a pretty cool TBD. And then we're finishing up the first session with OGS Lovesick versus NS Hosu Jakji. And Jakji is another one of those players that kind of stands out from the Code A qualifiers as someone that we want to definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah,
so that'll be pretty
really,
cool.
really solid.
Yeah.
He actually all-killed my team.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I don't want to open up old wounds.
Well, he's really good. Absolutely a top Terran.
Yeah.
Someone who didn't appear for a while, and now he's got his chance. This guy may be Code S material. We'll see how he does here. I think he's definitely one of our top players in here. So
yeah.
We'll see, man.
The music is starting to play because we are going to take shots of our players. There is StarTale FruitDealer. That's another thing to think about, is that he recently did change teams. So did that affect his practice at all? You know, I mean, changing teams, changing houses, that can really mess with your schedule. So is that going to be something that impacts his play today?
Yeah, I don't know. He also got a new hairstyle.
Yeah, that also.
Well, it's like his older hairstyle, but he kind of went back to it.
Like looking in the mirror and you're not as confident as you used to be. I don't know. Those boots are mirrored on the inside, too, so hair could be a factor, Wolf.
It could be.
Could be.
Well, FruitDealer, he's not a bad player. He's
no,
just...
No, not at all.
I think he's got some confidence issues, maybe, as well as... I mean, when you're in this position where you've just been falling further and further, it's very difficult to concentrate. Folks, look at this guy, though. Last time we saw this guy, it was an open season #1. He actually beat Slayer's Sella, who, of course, back then was Sellawera.
Yep.
You guys remember long ago, back in Open Season 1.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth.
And,
but he's back.
Yeah. I mean, his result there says it's just Code A preliminary round. I believe, though, he made it just to the round of 16 it was back in that Open Season.
I think so, yeah. I think he won his first match, like you said, beat Sella, and then he got knocked out. But, I mean, to be as good as he is at his age, I mean, even if he doesn't go terribly far in the GSL right now, definitely someone that we want to think about and remember in seasons to come. I mean, he's going to be back. If he keeps up with what he's doing right now, he could end up having a pretty long, pretty successful career.
Well, yeah, he says he's really focused on his StarCraft career. I asked him, you know, are you focusing more on school or focusing more on StarCraft? And he said, well, I just have so much potential in StarCraft. I think it's much more important to me to focus on StarCraft right now. That's what he told us. So
he's like one of those gymnasts that starts being a gymnast at like age 3, you know? So he gets like age 12 and he's already like doing backflips on the balance beam.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he's doing.
That's Maru, only in StarCraft.
This guy's macro is incredible. His decision making was the one weakness I spotted in his play when I watched him play. But I think his macro and his mechanics are just so solid. He played Brood War. I mean, this guy he played Brood War when he's like 8 years old. He's like baby.
Yeah,
you compare this guy to maybe baby in Brood War. Who knows, man? This guy could be the next big thing.
Look at that. They both eliminated Belshir Beach.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, kind of depressing, too. I like playing on that map. And, you know, FruitDealer eliminating Belshir Beach, when a lot of people are saying that's more of a Zerg map right now, too. But, you know, it is a newer map, so with such an important match like the round of 32, might want to have something a little bit more stable, something he's more comfortable on.
Yeah, it's a newer map. I mean, that's, I think, the reason why a lot of players eliminate it. We're going to jump into the game right now. Now.
For real.
Oh, there we go.
We're back. Okay. We're like talking. We're like, I don't think anyone can hear, so we just like hear a Pepsi being poured. Thanks to Pepsi for sponsoring the GSL, by the way.
StarTale FruitDealer.
And there's FruitDealer. As we can see here, spawning at the upper left part of Xel'Naga Fortress, so kind of the only top position.
Yep.
And down at the bottom left, the bottom position on GSL Xel'Naga Fortress is our very young Terran from the Team Prime. He is
Maru Prime-we.
Maru. And I wanted to mention something that you and I were talking about after the Code A qualifiers, where we were like, the decision-making is, you know, a little bit of an issue with Maru, I think, but at the same time, the decision-making of these younger players is really something that's interesting to see, because they kind of tend to just make decisions and not, you know, second-guess themselves. We see some of the older players kind of like, oh, I don't know, they'll like go for it and they'll go back
and take a few hits and things like that.
Maru just goes for it.
He does.
Kind of like Leenock, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I will note that he is going for is gas. So He's not going to be doing a 1-barracks expand or 2-raxing on this map. 2-raxing is pretty popular on this map because the rush distance isn't very far. It's a good place to bunker. There's several different locations for you to put the bunker down. It's a decent map for 2-raxing, but I think we're going to see Reactor Hellions from him. We saw that in the qualifiers.
Yep, it seems to be what a lot of Terrans are doing these days. At MLG Anaheim, we saw a lot of Slayers Terrans bring this kind of new Blue Flame Marine style that a lot of people were using. Blue Flame Marines, that'd be awesome. Blue Flame Hellions and Marines. So I think that's something we're probably going to see a lot in the Korean scene more often. And it's a really interesting opening because it requires such a high amount of micro and multitasking.
And the timing is so important as well.
That's another part of it.
It's much more intricate than, for example, a 4-gate.
Yeah,
4-gate timing is pretty intricate, but I mean, that is like really intricate.
Yeah.
Maru looks like he's going to pressure with his first Marine, maybe try to catch an Overlord, do a little bit of damage.
Walking right through that drone instead.
I like this choice when your opponent goes hatch first. You can put a little bit of pressure on, scare him a little bit. He doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with moving that first Marine out. You know, maybe you get a drone kill or two if you're lucky. You maybe force him to pull some drones. Put a little bit of pressure, like you said. Looks like FruitDealer's Overlord taking a few hits, but should be fine.
Got to be very careful about that. Oh, he killed that depot maker.
That's the most annoying thing in the world if you're a Terran player. You're like, why can't you just let my SCVs build their buildings?
It is very frustrating. Both these Overlords taking a little bit of hits, neither of them going out. You have to be very careful about that because losing that first Overlord is so hard to recover from.
Well, in the first couple minutes of a Zerg game, every 100 minerals is vital. You know, you need that to be drones, you need that to be Zerglings, you need that to be whatever you need it to be at the time. So if you're having to spend that on an additional Overlord, that's really annoying. Almost as annoying as losing your SCV.
We're going to see 2-port Banshees. I was going to say that when I saw the second gas, I was like, is he going to 2-port Banshee? He's going to 2-port Banshee here. Now, this could be quite effective at these positions. It's all going to come down to how FruitDealer prepares to deal with this. Now, this Overlord actually has only seen one gas, so that's what he's really trying to get over there and check that gas. But he's like, is it worth it to lose the Overlord to see that second gas? He decides not right now.
Well, Maru did such a great job of preventing that Overlord from getting in there. I mean, this kid is good.
This kid is pretty good, man. And when you're doing a specific build like this, you have to take every necessary precaution to make sure that your opponent doesn't see what you're doing, because if he sees and he prepares, you'll be in great shape. Now, FruitDealer has made a spine crawler at the front of his base. He's going to lose map control here to this Hellion. His Zergling speed isn't quite done yet. He's been only droning. He's got one Zergling out on the map right now.
I like this too, that Maru is, you know, trying to create any, or trying to take away any option of FruitDealer seeing the Banshees come across the map too now. You know, he's taking that map control at the Hellions, killing all the Zerglings running around. So, yeah, I think FruitDealer might actually be in a lot of trouble.
Well, he is making an evolution chamber, which is going to be really helpful at defending this, but with good positioning on the Banshees, you can just target down the hatchery. No matter where the spores are, you just avoid them. And if you force your opponent to make a ton of spores and you just expand, then it's like every spore that you made is like a drone killed, essentially. Because you had to pay money. It's like paying money to kill a drone.
Hey, if I could like pay a little bit of money to kill drones without having to be at the base, it's not so bad. You know what I'm curious about, though? Is I wonder if Maru is going to wait for 4 Banshees or if he's just going to go with
He sees the 2-port Banshees. Yeah. Now he's going to start some spores. 2 spores started immediately at the natural, and at the main base he starts 2 as well. The lair about halfway done. This is really bad for Maru.
Yeah, he's going to have to go with the, well, he might wait. Okay, he's going to go with those 2 Banshees right away. Yeah, I was going to say, you might as well just go right now then.
Well, notice that at the natural, there's a position where he can put his Banshees sort of towards the ramp where the spores will be able to hit it. That's why FruitDealer is repositioning his spores right now, because he knows he's vulnerable. There are 2 queens at the natural as well, though.
And another queen just about to pop out at the main as well, or at the natural again, as the lair just finishes. So I think FruitDealer, you know, as long as he positions his spore crawlers and his queens well, doesn't let anything get caught out of position, he should be just fine.
Well, Maru realizes this is not going to end the game. He starts a command center. The Spire is on the way. That Spire is going to be extremely helpful. It's basically the critical structure you need to have to hold this off well. But here come the first Banshees. He's going to want to target down that spore that's isolated. And that's exactly what he's going to do here. Now it's going to, of course, cause FruitDealer to most likely relocate the spores that he already has while he brings his queens up.
Needs to be really careful not to let those Banshees take too many hits from that spore crawler.
Well, he is just not bringing his queens up, and his hatchery is going to start taking some damage. Excuse me, his lair. It's not a hatchery.
Well, it was a hatchery at one point.
Yeah, he grew up, he's graduated. Now the queens are coming. He's got a lot of energy on these queens as well.
Nice transfuse there, keeping that one queen alive. And the one thing I guess I could criticize FruitDealer for is that the bases aren't connected by creep. And when you have 4 queens, is there really like a reason not to?
Well, yeah, he did move that Overlord over there to reconnect the creep. So, I mean, that's one thing he realized, oh, I didn't connect that creep, I need to do that. So it's very quick decision making by him, I like that. Back at home, Maru's, he's still making 2 Banshees at a time. Whoa!
The Banshee getting pretty low. Oh, I love that he brought SCVs there to repair those. Not enough Terran players are doing that. That's actually something we see more on the North American server than the Korean server, is bringing a couple SCVs up to repair the Banshees like that.
Maru is actually switching Tech Labs, going to start some siege tanks, he's adding barracks back at home. Keeping these Banshees alive, very, very important to do so, because Banshees are actually a unit you can use in real combat, so we could follow this up with another timing attack with really a marine-heavy timing attack with a few tanks to still continue to use these Banshees.
Yeah.
Now the mutas are out, so he's going to have to go home. And in fact, he may want to just sack one of these Banshees so the rest of them can escape.
Yeah, he's bringing him back to the SCVs to try to keep him repaired, I guess? I don't know.
Oh, man, he's panicking here. He doesn't know what to do. He may end up losing all of these Banshees.
Uh-oh. Pressure is getting to him, Wolf.
Yeah, GG.
GG, yeah, that's it. News too far behind, and game 1 goes to FruitDealer.
Well, that was a little bit weird. I didn't expect him to GG at that point. If he had just pulled his Banshees back, what you can do in a situation like that a lot of times is take one of your Banshees and fly it towards the mutas.
Yeah.
The mutas will target that one down. The rest of your Banshees can escape.
Yeah, he obviously felt like he was, way too far behind. He had spent too much on the Banshees, but it wasn't like over at that point. I think we're just seeing a lot of nerves from Maru.
Yeah, he freaked out. I mean, he definitely just panicked when he was losing the Banshees. He's like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And he flew him over, he attacked the lair, and he was like,
he's
GG.
like, I don't know, WW.
He was definitely okay. If he had just kept the Banshees alive, he already had siege mode on the way, he had a siege tank on the way, he had gone up to 4 barracks, his command center was up and running. He was actually in an okay position.
He wasn't in bad shape. I mean, he needed to worry about, lots of mutas that were going to be made pretty soon by FruitDealer, but I think it was just nerves.
He didn't have any turrets up. He was freaking out. He's like, well, when the mutas get in my base, what am I going to do? I only have 5 or 6 Marines right now. My barracks just got up.
So the question is, what do you do the next game, I mean, it's like if you lose a game like that, that's just a terrible feeling. You're like, oh man, he dominated me. So it seems like it would sort of inspire him in a way to play a little bit more standard, but FruitDealer might be expecting that. He could play a little bit more greedy. So I don't know. That's just the mind games that go into StarCraft 2.
This is one of the things we were talking about. His macro seems to be good, but then I think that's why he chose to do a build that FruitDealer wouldn't expect. But then on the other hand, you saw his decision making there not being the best. His control against the Spores was pretty good for a minute.
Yeah.
And then once the Queens came up, he should have just backed out and made the Queens come back a few times. But the second he saw the Spire was finishing, he should have just gone home, got some tanks out, got some turrets up, and then from there he would have been in an okay spot, kind of turtle on 2 bases. He would have had an opportunity for another timing attack later on with those Banshees.
Well, we're really focusing on Maru too and what he did, but we also can't forget FruitDealer too. He responded just about perfectly to seeing that type of thing, and when you do it like that, it's really, really tough for your opponent to win in that situation.
Yeah,
so
made his Spores. Relocated them appropriately and moved his Queens at just the right moment, reconnected the creep with that Overlord.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into game number 2. It's going to be on Crossfire.